this is the fourth video. I cut off before I said the word key. So the word key means the tonal system based on a major or a minor scale. So if you say you're in the key of E, it means that the key signature relates to the E major scale and you're using the notes of the E major scale. Now we have other scales to make your life more complicated. There is the pentatonic scale, which goes usually whole step, 1.5 steps, whole step, and then 1.5 steps. It can relate to the black keys. Either 3 black keys and 2 black keys, or 2 black keys and 3 black keys. So the sequence of black keys on the keyboard coincides with the interval relationships of a pentatonic scale. Chopin, for example, and I'm not going to try to play this in octaves today. Oh, it worked. Okay. That was a pentatonic scale. It's a 5-note scale. A lot of folk songs are written in pentatonic scales. And then you can also have this example from the Mother Goose Suite. And you can have pentatonic scales on white keys. It goes on to use other notes, but that part of O Susanna is using a pentatonic scale. So you could also have, well, there are non-gapped pentatonic scales occurring in the music of Java, which uses 5 nearly equal intervals plus a quarter step. We don't have quarter steps in our music. But there is stuff out there in world music that is different from Western European art music. Then you can have scales that are not diatonic. A chromatic scale is not diatonic. It's all half steps. So, for example, I will play this one. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp. And usually they're written out in sharps if they're going up and flats if they're going down. And so that would be maybe an example, though there are examples in music of people using chromatic scales to jazz things up. Sometimes you're in a regular diatonic key scale, whatever, and there might be a chromatic scale in it. That doesn't mean that that piece has gone into a chromaticism. It just means that the composer is using a lot of chromaticism in the piece that is either in a major or minor key. So, for example, this very famous piece from Dido and Aeneas. I don't think I did the figures quite right, but I was close enough. So that's a diatonic piece using chromaticism. Then we have the whole tone scale. Unlike the chromatic scale, which is all half steps, the whole tone scale is all whole steps. And it can either go C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, C, or it can start on D flat and be, there's only 2 whole tone scales. So if you go C sharp, D sharp, or D flat, E flat, F, G, A, B, D flat, you can pick that out for yourself. Start one on C, all whole steps, or D flat, all whole steps. And a lot of late Romantic period composers and Impressionistic composers like to use the whole tone scale. Another scale, I should have brought some tea with me, is the blues scale. Which is a variation of the major scale. It has a flat third and a flat seventh. And these blue notes represent the influence of African scales on music, which can be discussed in Gunther Schuller's book, Early Jazz. And I'm sure Dr. Zimmer can talk about it at length. There are other non-Western scales, which we probably are not going to have quizzes on. You might see a blues scale, a whole tone scale, a chromatic scale, or a pentatonic scale on a test. This is figure 2.32 is throwing in a non-Western scale from northern India, a todi. And then there's the octatonic scale, or diminished scale. You'll find all of these at some point in your life. And other non-traditional scales might have been used or probably were used in music of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Here's an example of an augmented scale. And then we also have 12-tone scales and so forth and so on. All right, the next one is a little bit long, so we'll do that separately.